Hello.
Your Excellency, the first Vice President of the Republic and Chair of the Government Cluster, Your Excellency, Vice President for the Subject Cluster, Honorable Ministers present here, Honorable Governors, Chief Administrators, and all the delegates, development partners here present. Good morning. I will just briefly get into the profile of Wieu administrative area, but there will be few key points that I will need to emphasize. As you know, Wieu administrative area is one of the administrative areas established in accordance with the Presidential Order number 7007-2020. And what people should know here, maybe at what point in the history Wieu administrative area currently underwent a series of transfers and retransfers to various provinces in the north and the south of the Sudan, as well as it became also an independent administrative unit of its own at one point in the history of the liberation struggle. It has been transferred several times with tweet to the Kordofan province and also to Nuba Mountain province. And then we were also retransferred to Barkadal again in the 1927, 1928. We also came back to Upper Nile and then to Bentiu in 1931. And during the liberation struggle, we were also made as an independent unit known as Brigade 20. And what I need to emphasize here, all these transfers signify some of the challenges that we had or have been struggling with. And I think is one of the key reasons that justify why Wieu has transitioned into a full state of its own. That is our map. It has an area of 28,073 square kilometers. Our projected population as per the 2019 National Bureau of Statistics projection is 335,282. Our capital is in Parian. It has 8 counties, and that is Abiam, Malay, Jamjang, Jau, Lake North, Tuaj, Unkur, and Awarpini. And then it has 55 payams with 197 bombers. We are bordered by 7 states, 2 states in the Sudan, that is southern and western Kordofan. And we are also bordered by 4 states and 1 administrative area in the Republic of South Sudan, and that is Jonglei in the southeast. I think the governor of Jonglei forgot last time that Jonglei also borders Wieu administrative area, and we are also hosting the IDPs from Pangak. And we have Unity to the south, Upper Nile to the east, Warab to the southwest, and Abyei to the west. Wieu administrative area hosts over 128,000 refugees from the Nuba Mountains, settled in Ida, Bamir, and Ajuangpo. And we also host IDPs from our neighbor, which are flood-affected population from Unity State, in areas of Meding, there's Lalob and Wanda Dalwin. We have also IDPs from Jonglei, from Pangak, that are settled in the area of Unkur and Araj, in Wieu administrative area. Sorry. Our key resources are our population. We have a very productive agricultural land. We have animal resources and fisheries. And We produce the 80% of the oil. The oil that we have here, 80% comes from Ruang administrative area. And we have gold deposits in the area of Wonkur and Pakwem. We have the Maram sector, which is a sector that is also contributing a lot to our economy. We have wildlife resources. We have rivers and port facilities like Negno and Wamadalwell. Our mission and core values and vision to provide good governance to the people of Ruang and deliver services to all citizens that can enable them realize the benefit of peace, security, and socio-economic development. We also envision a peaceful, united, and law-abiding, secure, stable, and prosperous Ruang with equal opportunities for all. Our core values, we are looking at elements of honesty, transparency, dignity, respect, and loyalty to the state. Our key strategic priorities are drawn from our strategic plan for 2022-2025, and we have 11 priorities. In these 11 priorities, we are looking at the element of peace and security and how issues of dialogue, alternative dispute resolution mechanism, and capacity of the law enforcement is one of our target. Under governance, we are looking at how issues of facilities, issues of equipment can enable services delivery. While in agriculture, how do we foster economic development? Looking at question of food reserve system in the context of the climate change, and how do we develop our livestock and fishing sector that can also result into commercialization of the livestock sector. Under infrastructure, we are looking at key road networks and how that can facilitate trade and movement of goods and services, and also issues to do around construction or renovation of government facilities. We have also trade and investment, and the idea is how do we partner with the private sector to increase investment and how that can contribute to accelerating development of markets, and how that can provide employment opportunities. The PFM, issues of revenue unit, institutional capacity, under health, water, wash, we are looking at how do we increase access to quality healthcare system at all levels, and how do we strengthen the health system. Issue of access to clean and safe drinking water, and education, we are also trying to see how do we build the capacities of the teaching workforce, issues of screening, and the key focus here should be how do we make the country so much technical, and especially the issue of the Tibet. And the gender and youth, with the element of social inclusion and participation, we are also trying to look at the aspect of how do we maintain, promote our culture, music, and sport. And the big challenge of our time, the issue of environment and climate change as a priority. We have talked of issues of oil pollution, issue of climate change, and how do we mitigate, and question of adaptation. We are saying our priorities are not standalone, they are also aligned to the national priorities. They are also aligned to some of the key regional and global frameworks. You can see our revised national development strategy has 5 clusters. And Ruang administrative area has also 5 clusters that are aligned to the national development strategies. And our vision for Ruang administrative area, as you have seen before, also aligns to the South Sudan vision of 2040, and also the East African Community vision of 2050, and the AU agenda of 2063, and the global agenda of 2030 on sustainable development goal. Some of our key achievements from the 19th to 22nd of October this year, we held Ruang Community Dialogue. and how that has contributed to promoting unity, political and social cohesion among our people. And that is in line with our strategic objective number one. We have also contributed to element of strengthening institutional and operational capacity, responsive capacity of the police through provisions of vehicles, and this was through the national government, thanks to the Ministry of Interior, the IGP, and how that has also increased patrol and provision of security at local levels. Governance, I have said before, how issues of equipment and facilities can also contribute to enabling delivery of services. We have installed a visit to facilitate our connectivity to the rest of the world, and this is contributing to enabling functioning of our institutions. We also provided a number of computers, 12, 15 computers, 12 printers to various ministries. Under food security, yes, we have the cattle, and if these cattle are not vaccinated, they will be of no commercial value. There will be no the benefits to our people. They will be dying. So with the support from GPOC as a partner, this year we launched cattle vaccination targeting over 39,000 heads of cattle in rural administrative area. The issue of prices and food security, and this is what our colleagues from BIA are also doing. The prices, we managed to bring about 37 metric tons of food from the Sudan, and as a strategy to stabilize market prices. And the prices were at one point 4,500, 3,500, but when we injected our subsidized sorghum to the market, it reduced the prices down to 2,000, and it's still going down 1,500. That is agriculture. That is agriculture. This is the farming for this year, but our big challenge now will be the issue of birds. But we expect, regardless of the flooding, perhaps there will be small harvest for this year. Under infrastructure, we have the ongoing construction of government guest house. We have also the resident for the CEO of the governor in that matter under process. We have the construction of departure and arrival launch at Ida Airstrip. We have 3 airstrips. We have Ida, we have Juangtok, and we have Pariang. But we are doing now, our waiting VIP launch used to be under the tree. But I hope maybe by this year or by the end of this year, we should be having our VIP launch in the Ida Airport. We have also rehabilitation of power station to restore electricity back to Pariang town. And 80% of the work has already been achieved, and we expect by December we should be having power in the city. We are now installing what we call rural radio station, supported by GPOC and Ministry of Petroleum. And the idea of this is how will this contribute to access of the information, as well as empowering local communities in a number of areas. Those are the ongoing projects. We have the guest house, we have the Ida airport. This was when we left, but I think now it should be at a roofing level. We have the radio station construction going on. This is the power generator that stopped working since 2008. It has already been fixed and it is working. We are working on reviving the power and electricity in Pariang town. Under health, you know, with the flooding, most of the challenges that come with the flooding, the issue of the snake bites, the issue of anti-rabies in these areas. And during the month of September, we managed to provide antivenom and anti-rabies to Pariang and Abino Hospital, and also including provision of essential drugs by the government of Ruang administrative area to Abimnum, And we also provided, there were some drugs also provided by GPOC, and also deployment of medical personnel to some of these hospitals. As a government, we also provide hospital beds to the Pariang Hospital. We renovated or rehabilitated 2 water yards in Pariang town, and how that is enhancing access to water point in terms of reduction in time as well. These are drugs that we procured this year, and as I talk, Vietnam has been flooded, no access by road, and no access, no airstrip. It can only be accessed by the chopper. And we have a struggle with partners. I think we had discussion with RRC, CARE, and as I talk, these drugs have not yet been delivered up to now. I think I will call on the health personnel through the Ministry of Health to see how we deliver these drugs to Vietnam Hospital. The hospital is empty, has no drugs, and this is one of the biggest challenges that we have. In education, there's renovation of Pariang A and Gumriak primary schools successfully completed. And we have also been working towards transforming education, and in partnership with GPOC, where they have recruited 4 science and mathematics teachers in primary and secondary school. We have completion of Freedom Primary School construction, which has about 7 classrooms, and this is supported by UNICEF. Through our partners such as the Swedish Church Aid and LWF, they are also providing incentive to 16 primary teachers, primary school teachers in Yamyam County with support from these partners. There have also been a capacity building for the teaching workforce in rural administrative area with over 490 teachers trained, and provision of 129 benches to 5 schools. And we have this year as one of the strategies to improve education. We have already identified 15 top students, let's set for this year, and we will be providing them with the scholarship to go and study abroad on sciences and engineering disciplines as a strategy on how we should improve education and also investing on our young people. These are some of the schools and the issue of congestion. We have also a school like Soba that is supported by UNHCR and is hosting both the refugees and the host communities. Our key challenges under governance, peace and security is the issue of cattle migration and the related conflict. And I said the other day, we have a point of intersection of key conflict drivers. We have the flood displacing the cattle keepers from Unity State to the area of Aling. We will be having the Misria coming also from the north to the area of Aling, and we have all local cattle keepers also in that area, and that will be a point of intersection of conflict, and that is one of the key challenges that we will face in this coming dry season. The capacity and the operational capacity of our law enforcement agencies still remain low in relation to maintaining law and order. I understand from the last governance forum, and Dr. Joseph Wenmetil is here, will testify to that there was supposed to be intercommunal dialogues to be held between us and Unity State in order to enhance peaceful coexistence and social cohesion. But I understand this resolution was not implemented, and this is one of the things that we should look forward. I also say we have and Your Excellency, you said the other day we are here for hard talk and we are here to tolerate. And I have to state this in clear terms. Yes, we have the environmental or flood and conflict related displacement, and how that has also provided incentives for illegal occupation and surveying of Ruweng administrative area land, the area of Meding, which we call Lalok, and also element of renaming by unity state. Governor Nguyen Mitwil is here. We have already stated it. We have no problem hosting the IDPs from unity state as a government. We welcome them, and at one point we surveyed Niel, and we were to welcome them, but they also resulted in conflict that forced them back. So I think this is one of the key things that we need really to discuss. I have no problem hosting them in Lalo, which is in a league, and collaborating with the administration from your side, Dr. Joseph, so that our people are free to live in an environment given the right given to them by the Constitution. But this should not do away with our territories and jurisdiction. We have area like Wunku is also occupied by forces from Kitwang and also forces from Mialek, and which were the split and the fighting going on in that area, and our local population were unable to return. And the security, yes, we are having the challenge of climate change and its all related social and economic shocks, the element of disruption of economic livelihoods for our local people. We have the issue of traditional farming and how that one is not trying to increase production. And also the lack of public and private investment in agricultural sector in order to increase production is still a challenge. The question of post-harvest losses, although there is harvest, at times there is so much that is lost in the process during the harvest, and question of poor storage facilities as well. The quilla birds are a big problem to us, given the flooding. They used to be well spread, but now in Ruweng is where most of the birds are going to be a danger to some of our sorghum. That is always harvested in the months of January and December. And this is the challenge we are dealing with. Issue of insecurity in farming areas that do not allow the local population to go and do farming in those areas. We have issues of access to market for local products due to poor infrastructure and also non-commercialization of the livestock sector. Infrastructure across South Sudan as well in Ruweng remains as a key challenge. The issue of how do we have infrastructure that connect Ruweng administrative area to key economic route and centers is a challenge like no. We have limited telecommunication and infrastructure network coverage. And the health, yes, the capacity of the health staff to deliver basic healthcare services at private and secondary level is a challenge. We have few nurses, we have few medical doctors, and all those. We have issue of oil pollution, oil spills, and how that is also complicated by the flooding in the oil field. And somebody said here yesterday, I think also in Ruweng administrative area, the issue of hepatitis is becoming a big issue with all its progression. And I think this is where we will need the health partners to pay attention to this. And see what can we do in terms of treatment and maybe in terms of vaccination. Issue of limited supply of essential drug and medical equipment to the hospital. We have under education, Governor Ring Twain has talked of qualified teachers for quality education, and this is one of the challenges we have. We have limited educational infrastructure or learning spaces, inadequate schools, both primary and secondary, scholastic material, and there is always an increasing number of out-of-school children and school-age children in cattle camps. cultural practices as some of the key inherents to girl child education remains as a challenge. On the way forward, we are proposing on governance, peace, and security is the strengthening of public institutions for effective, efficient, and equitable distribution of resources. Some of these resolutions were adopted in our community dialogue forum. And also, how do we strengthen the responsive capacity of the law enforcement agencies in order to maintain law and order, curb crimes, and foster stability? We are also suggesting with the unity state we should implement the resolution of the Fifth Governance Forum on intercommunal dialogue between Wieu and unity, with the aim of enhancing peaceful coexistence and social cohesion. Promote intercommunal interdependencies. I know there are a number of things that connect us, and it's always good if we concentrate on issues of interlinkages, what connects us, and do less on what disconnects us. We do trade, we do intermarriages. I think these are the things that we should always emphasize so that they enhance our social cohesion. We urge parties to the peace agreement to address the issue of Unku. I think this is what we stated. We are clear on the position of the individual, but we are not clear on the position of all forces who are still occupying some of our areas. We also committed to the implementation and the dissemination of the 2022 roadmap on peaceful and democratic aim of transitional period. In agriculture, the question in the context of the climate change is how do we continue to build the resilience of the flood-affected communities through provision of economic livelihood and activities in order to cushion them against climate shocks. Developing agriculture, mechanized farming, livestock and fishery sector, and how that can foster economic growth and strengthen the level of food security. We have also said, given the reality of the climate change, the issue of food reserve system will be very important, and also the question of storage facilities, and working towards agriculture policies that contribute to promoting local production and value chain, the issue of agribusinesses for our farmers. And the idea is also how to invest in smart climate technologies, infrastructure that link farmers to the market. The oil is there for us, but the production is going on, and flooding. I was talking the other day in other countries, oil is produced underwater. I don't know, maybe the oil sector should also begin to think of technologies that reduce some of these challenges, the flooding plus the production of oil and oil pollution. We say there is need for us to partner with the private sector. There is no way the government can achieve some of these things solid-handed, while the private sector sit with a lot of our resources. So there's need to bring them on board and an increased investment in agriculture sector to accelerate economic growth and create jobs. PFM reforms, we are looking at building capacity of Wieu Administrative Revenue Unit, having also a kind of robust financial mobilization to increase non-oil revenue collection. I said the other day we have the 2% and the 3%, and how do we streamline such processes and also have a kind of institutional management for those resources. And our policy is to ensure that the 2% and the 3% finance only key development activities in rural administrative area. This is one of the areas we have challenges as well, given the serious kind of friend seekers and networking. That is giving us a bit of challenge, but I think we will also address it. We are also trying to, Your Excellency, up to now, our legislative assemblies for the administrative areas, I think, have not been established. And there's no way as a government we can operate without these institutions. So we call for the establishment of legislative assemblies in administrative areas so that they continue to provide oversight functions in relation to the management and utilization of our resources. Under youth and gender and youth, we are also trying to see, for education, we are working towards a policy on quality education through recruitment of qualified teachers for both primary and secondary school, and also continue with the construction and renovation of the new school, work with partners to ensure provisions of the scholastic material, and also introduction of mobile education centers for the pastoralists. Dry season, all the boys and girls follow the cattle, and I think there's need to also be innovative to see schools that follow them to those locations. Gender and youth is the question of social inclusion, participation of women and youth in socio-economic and political activities. How do we work also on issues of economic empowerment for women through provisions of entrepreneurship skills, vocational training skills, to really bring a lot on this. And we also maybe will ask some of the partners to see how they can also support some of the state and administrative area. Employment opportunities for youth and women will be key to that. And that brings us to the end of my presentation. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Administrator. Now, we move forward.